My ex-wife cheated on me with my brother, and now that he has replaced her with someone else and kicked her out of the house, she is asking me for help. My ex-wife, Candace, and I were married for almost 10 years. We had a stable life, and I believed our marriage was strong because it had lasted so long. However, as I mentioned, I found out that the two of them were together behind my back. Jonathan always had a reputation for being a womanizer since adolescence. He could never maintain a stable relationship and was always changing partners. Our parents and friends constantly warned him about his behavior, but he never seemed to care. To him, women were just temporary conquests he bragged about. When I discovered the affair, I was devastated. The pain of being betrayed by my wife and my brother was overwhelming, even though he had done this before when we were younger. I confronted both of them, and the confrontation was intense. Candace tried to justify her actions, saying that Jonathan made her feel alive again. Jonathan, as always, treated the situation with disdain and arrogance, and said it was my fault since he was single and could do whatever he wanted. The marriage ended quickly, and Candace moved into Jonathan's house, where he promised to take care of her. Over time, I learned that Jonathan had made Candace stop working, claiming that he could support her and that she didn't need to worry about anything. He also suggested that her wanting to work was probably an excuse to cheat on him, just like she did to me. Trusting him, Candace agreed. She abandoned her career and became completely dependent on him financially, which left her vulnerable and without her own resources. I moved on with my life, although the pain of the betrayal was still present, and I had to see a therapist to deal with the fact that my 10-year relationship had ended this way. I focused on my work and began to rebuild my emotional stability. During this time, Jonathan continued his unfaithful behavior. Apparently, he started cheating on Candace with other women, repeating the cycle of disloyalty that had always marked his life. Despite this, he always convinced Candace to stay with him despite the infidelities. Eventually, Jonathan met another woman and decided he wanted to live with her. Without any consideration for Candace, he kicked her out of the house. Candace, without a job and without money, was left helpless with nowhere to go. She was forced to ask me for help since I was the only person she knew in the city, and her parents refused to help her because of what she did to me. When Candace showed up at my door, she was worn out and desperate. She begged for my forgiveness and asked for help, saying she had nowhere to go and deeply regretted what she had done. She said she now understood the gravity of her mistakes and should never have trusted Jonathan, that I had always been perfect for her, the whole spiel. Seeing Candace in that situation stirred a mix of emotions in me. Part of me felt sorry for her, but the other part was still hurt by the betrayal. I explained to her that, although I understood her desperation, it was at least ironic that she would ask me for help. We had a perfect life. I took her places, always gave her unconditional attention, never cheated on her, and yet she didn't think twice before betraying me, and worse, with my brother. She even blamed me for the betrayal. She didn't care about me at that moment or the consequences of what she had done. But now that she was suffering the consequences too, she was here asking me for help. I just asked her to leave and close the door. From what I know, she is now living in a shelter. Even though she did what she did, it still hurts to see her like this. But I refuse to help her directly, so I will probably just tell her parents to forgive her and help her. I don't know what to think of this. The anger I feel is still very strong, and a big part of me thinks she deserves everything she's going through now. But I still feel bad. As I sat alone that night, reflecting on everything that had transpired, I couldn't help but feel a sense of closure. The betrayal, the heartbreak, and the eventual downfall of Candace and Jonathan were painful chapters in my life, but they were also lessons learned. I realized that my worth was not determined by their actions, and my future was not dictated by my past. I had the strength to rebuild my life and find happiness again. Over the next few months, I continued to focus on my career and personal growth. I reconnected with old friends and made new ones. I even started dating again, cautiously opening my heart to the possibility of love. Each day was a step towards healing, and I found solace in the progress I was making. One day, as I was walking through a park, I received a call from Candace's parents. They had finally forgiven her and were willing to help her get back on her feet. They thanked me for my patience and understanding, acknowledging that I had every right to be bitter but chose a different path. Their words meant a lot to me, and I felt a sense of relief knowing that Candace would have the support she needed. In the end, I realized that true strength comes from within. I had faced betrayal and heartbreak, but I had emerged stronger and more resilient. Life had a way of testing us, but it also had a way of rewarding us for our perseverance. I was ready to embrace the future with an open heart and an unbreakable spirit, knowing that I had the power to create my own happiness.